talk about the Indiana Fever more specifically. Now, all three of these entities have responded to the allegation. Erica Wheeler, Kelsey Mitchell, and Caitlin Clark.
Have you ever heard a sports story so chaotic, so filled with accusation and emotion, that the entire truth seems impossible to find? What if the most shocking part wasn't the allegation itself, but how the people at the very center of the storm chose to respond? This is the untold story of the Indiana Fever, a team accused of having a fan base so vicious and so racist that it made national headlines. But here's the twist that no one saw coming. An official investigation was launched, and after 9 days, the WNBA announced its findings. The result? The serious allegations being hurled at players could not be substantiated. There was no video, no audio, no concrete evidence to back up the claims.
Allegations made by WNBA players that Indiana Fever fans are vicious, racist. Now, all three of these entities have responded to the allegation. They're just launching racial slurs all over.
So, what really happened inside that arena? And how did three of the Fever's biggest stars, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Erica Wheeler, navigate a scandal that threatened to tear the league apart? The answers are more mind-blowing than you can imagine. Before we dive into the details that change everything, do me a huge favor. If you want to see how this story ends, smash that like button and hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it makes a massive difference to us and helps us bring you the full, unfiltered truth. Thank you. Now let's get into it. The initial claim sent shockwaves through the sports world, creating a digital firestorm that spread far beyond the basketball court.
It's not actually recorded or anything anywhere.
And yes, getting booed at an away stadium or an away arena is something that happens in sports.
People happen to have cell phones with audio devices that can record.
The narrative was set in stone almost instantly. Indiana Fever fans were being labeled as vile bigots, a toxic element threatening the very integrity of the WNBA. It was a story that spread like wildfire, fueled by outrage and the rapid pace of social media, where accusations often travel faster than facts. But from the very beginning, something was profoundly off. We live in an unprecedented era of documentation, a digital age where every single person in that arena possessed a high-definition video recorder and audio device in their pocket. Every moment, from the breathtaking three-pointers to the tense fouls, is typically captured from a dozen different angles and instantly shared online. Yet, despite this, not one clear, verifiable clip of the specific alleged behavior ever surfaced.
Is that the norm? Is that enough for now multiple players to just be calling a fan base, just label them? Seems like that could happen too, but I guess not. I guess that's not possible.
Yeah, it's definitely upsetting. I don't think nobody in our league should be facing any sort of racism, hurtful, disrespectful.
No viral audio recording, no damning cell phone video, nothing but secondhand accounts and growing speculation. It was an accusation built on hearsay, a ghost story with no ghost, leaving the entire sports community divided and confused. The league, facing immense public pressure, had no choice but to act. They launched a formal, comprehensive probe into the incident, interviewing witnesses, reviewing available footage, and leaving no stone unturned. For over a week, the basketball world held its breath, waiting for an answer that would either validate a terrible truth or expose a devastating falsehood.
Oh, Caitlin Clark spoke out about, she answered a question about all of the online discourse and trolls, which...
But there are a lot of really good fans, whether they've been fans for 20 plus years or whether they're new fans in our league. You know, those aren't fans, those are trolls, and it's a real disservice to the people in our league, the organization. I think continuing to uplift this league in a very positive light is the best thing that we can do, because
when the conclusion finally came, it was definitive and left little room for interpretation. The WNBA announced its investigation was complete, and all allegations of racist fan behavior were officially deemed unsubstantiated. This specific, careful wording meant the league could not find the evidence necessary to support the claims. The foundation of the entire scandal crumbled in a single official statement. But by then, the damage was already done. The stain of the accusation lingered in the public consciousness, and the Fever players were left in an impossible position, forced to answer for a crime that, according to the league's own findings, may never have even occurred.
There are so many great players. There's so many great teams. There are so many positive storylines that can be written and celebrated. And
I was just even looking to see what like the big WNBA people, these like legacy fans that, you know, hate all the new fans. I genuinely think that there's going to be some responses being like, oh, she's trying to deflect the topic off the real thing. She's trying to focus on basketball, and this is bigger than basketball.
For me, that's why I became a fan of this league, is these people were my idols. I grew up wanting to be like them.
They were tasked with mending a bridge that had been set ablaze based on a narrative that ultimately collapsed under the weight of its own lack of evidence. A truly unenviable challenge for any professional athlete. So, how do you respond when your home, your fans, and your organization are dragged to the mud without any concrete proof? The answer came from the team's newest superstar, and it was nothing short of a masterclass in modern public relations and emotional intelligence. Caitlin Clark stepped to the microphone and didn't hesitate, displaying a poise that belied her rookie status. She looked directly into the storm of controversy and stated with clear conviction, "I don't think anyone in our league should be facing any sort of racism." With that single sentence, she immediately acknowledged the gravity of the topic and aligned herself with the fundamental principle of human decency. She wisely called the entire situation hurtful and disrespectful, validating the emotions without validating the unproven event itself. But then, she made a strategic pivot so nuanced that few athletes of her experience would ever even attempt it. She masterfully drew a line in the sand, creating a crucial distinction between the loyal, passionate, true fans and what she deliberately labeled trolls. In her own words, she declared, "Those aren't fans, those are trolls, and it's a real disservice to the people in our league, the organization." This wasn't just semantics. It was a brilliant rhetorical move that isolated the alleged bad actors from the entire fan base, protecting the community that supported the team.
I think continuing to uplift and, represent this league in a positive way is the best thing that we can do.
Good things in the league. Let's talk about the good players. I can guarantee you there are people that are going to be like that. Again, let's talk about the fact that these trolls are trolls. Let's talk about all the good fans. Let's talk about all the new.
She is about the most media-savvy sports entity I have seen in a very...
Instead of getting stuck in the negative drama and perpetuating a cycle of outrage, she forcefully shifted the entire conversation toward a solution. Her proposed path forward was simple yet powerful. "I think continuing to uplift this league in a very positive light is the best thing that we can do." She began actively steering the narrative toward the so many great players and so many great teams, consciously choosing to write a positive, forward-looking storyline instead of dwelling on an unproven and destructive negative one. It was a move that showcased a level of media savvy and strategic thinking that veteran players and PR professionals spend years trying to cultivate. She understood that in the court of public opinion, sometimes the most powerful testimony is not a rebuttal, but a redirection toward something brighter and more meaningful, effectively draining the controversy of its oxygen by focusing on the immense talent and positive energy currently surging through the WNBA. But Clark wasn't alone at the podium, standing in the glaring media spotlight. Right beside her was the seasoned veteran, Kelsey Mitchell, and her response was just as powerful, yet it came from a completely different, equally crucial angle.
Enter in Kelsey Mitchell and Erica Wheeler, and man, their answers are really good, really well thought out, and really professional. People are coming after them right now over this answer. People are...
Where Clark addressed the broader narrative and public perception head-on, Mitchell turned the focus inward, homing in on the one thing the team could absolutely control: their own conduct, their own mindset, and their own performance. Her response was a pure lesson in unshakable professional focus and leadership. She explained that the team's mission amidst the chaos was to erase our professionalism in a lot of different ways, a phrase that made it abundantly clear that their composure and standard behavior were non-negotiable, no matter what was being said about them externally. Then she dropped a key line that would effectively become the team's internal mantra for navigating crisis: "We can only control what's in our organization within our people." I mean, we can't control what someone else says. This wasn't a deflection or an attempt to avoid the issue. It was a profound and practical declaration of intent. It was a statement rooted in the core philosophy of sports psychology: focus on your controllables.
The time after the break, it got better. So the future is very bright for those.
I think that for us, we err on the side of professionalism in a lot of different ways, and we can only control what's in our organization within our people.
I mean, we can't control what someone else says. Like, for the more
no matter what color you are, whatever you carry or possess, I think for us, we focus on the basketball.
Mitchell revealed that throughout the season, the team had faced many external forces that try to come in this building and to pull us apart, but she emphasized that they simply didn't let it. Her entire focus remained locked on the basketball court, on the relentless pursuit of winning games, and on protecting the sacred, united sanctity of their locker room from any outside negativity. It was a steady, determined hand the young team desperately needed to weather the storm. Mitchell provided the anchor, reminding everyone that while they couldn't control the headlines, they could control their effort, their teamwork, and their response, transforming a potential distraction into a source of fortified resolve.
WNBA players have endured this season. This was her answer. He should have asked her about the hate that she receives. As a straight white player in the league, she can navigate these situations. Now, James Boyd did acknowledge after the fact,
there's so many great players and teams, and obviously that is the best thing. She basically said in different words exactly what.
And what about the role of Erica Wheeler in this high-pressure situation? The veteran guard, widely known and respected throughout the league for her infectious energy and vital locker room presence, was also an integral part of that unified front. While the transcript and media coverage often highlight Clark and Mitchell's specific sound bites, the presence and support of a respected veteran like Wheeler lent an immense and undeniable weight to collective response. Her voice, often serving as a team's emotional heartbeat, signaled that this wasn't just a polished view of one or two superstar players. It was a deeply ingrained organizational philosophy, a top-to-bottom commitment to handling adversity with class. Wheeler, having seen the ups and downs of a long professional career, understands better than most that controversies are temporary, but the culture built within a team is lasting.
But coming out and saying this entire narrative you're hearing is a joke.
It's an organization and us winning games, and that's what we did. But for the most part, we don't condone that. Like I've said, a comment before, like, it's a lot of things that try to come in this building and to pull us apart that we just didn't let. However,
and they were real professional, and guess what? They're getting just destroyed.
By aligning her response with the themes of professionalism and focus, she acted as a crucial bridge, ensuring the message resonated with both the new young talents and established veterans on the roster. The trio of Clark, Mitchell, and Wheeler presented a united, impenetrable facade to the world, a wall of calm, resolute professionalism that categorically refused to be broken by external noise or unsubstantiated claims. They were drawing their line, not in the hot anger of public debate, but in the cool, collected certainty of their own principles and their commitment to each other. This unity transformed their individual statements into a powerful, singular message. We are a team on and off the court, and we will navigate this together on our own terms.
Unbelievable people. I'll put Erica Wheeler on that. Like, if you're asking,
it's an organization and us winning games, and that's what we did. But for the most part, we don't condone that. So for us, our ears been blocked out longer than most people, if that make any sense. So
person of the year in the WNBA, that might freaking
Now, you might logically think that this kind of relentless off-court drama and media scrutiny would cripple a team's chemistry and derail their performance. But for the duo of Clark and Mitchell, the pressure seemed to have the absolute opposite effect. It was as if they collectively bottled all that external pressure, the endless questions, and the distracting headlines, and used it as pure rocket fuel for their on-court exploits. While the talking heads were endlessly debating the controversy on television, and social media platforms were buzzing with arguments, this dynamic duo was silently putting in the work on the court, steadily transforming into the most explosive and statistically dominant backcourt combination in the entire WNBA.
She still just got hate, but at least now it's going to be hard to see how they twist their words. And one thing is, she's done nothing but try to uplift the league, defend everyone around her. But like, she has defended people cheap shotting her. She sometimes, in the Kennedy Carter situation, she has defended someone who realistically probably
They started putting up truly staggering numbers, averaging a combined 37.7 points per game, a figure that would be impressive for any starting pair. But then, after the Olympic break, they shifted into an entirely new gear, and that combined number skyrocketed to an almost unbelievable 51.3 points per game. They weren't just playing, they were systematically dominating opponents, letting their flawless execution and scoring burst do the talking in the most powerful way possible. Their synergy was so potent and visually captivating that analysts and fans began comparing them to legendary pairings like the Golden State Warriors Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, even dubbing them the Splash Sisters for their ability to sink deep, crowd-silencing shots.
Still just got hate, but at least now it's going to be hard to see how they twist their words. And one thing is,
for what it is they said, but the wokes, they're coming after them. They're coming after him. So Kelsey Mitchell was asked about her future. A lot of people really gave them a lot of credit.
And if you deal best with it by doing that, by leaning on your family and stuff, you shouldn't have to bring that into the public.
They played a brand of basketball that was fast, unpredictable, and truly breathtaking to watch, routinely executing no-look passes behind the back assists and launching logo threes that broke the internet and fill highlight reels. Their historic, record-breaking performance served as the ultimate, undeniable proof of their words. They weren't just verbally saying they were focused on basketball. They were demonstrating it with every possession, every clutch basket, and every victory, using the noise as a catalyst to reach a level of play that left no doubt about where their priorities truly lay. All of this points to a much larger, underlying battle for the soul of the WNBA, a silent war being waged in comment sections, on sports talk shows, and in the very stand of the arenas themselves. The league is currently in a period of massive, unprecedented transition, caught between its dedicated, legacy fans who have supported it through its formative years, and a tidal wave of new, often younger, viewers drawn in by a single generational talent.
It's like Caitlin Clark has no moral responsibility to appease certain groups of fans that she'll never win with. If Caitlin Clark doesn't want to bring it to light and she feels that's the best way, then let her do it. And I don't think Caitlin has any obligation. Well, I don't think she has any obligation to speak out about some of the stuff.
This recent controversy, with its unsubstantiated claims and emotional fallout, became a perfect proxy for that larger, more complex conflict. It was never just about what some fans may or may not have yelled. It was about who gets to define the identity of women's basketball in this new era. On one side, you have the established guard, the purists who have loved this league for decades. They have a deep, vested interest in the players and the culture they've built from the ground up. For them, the WNBA represents something specific, a platform for social justice, a sanctuary for elite female athletes, and a tight-knit community. Then, seemingly overnight, a seismic shift occurs. A new superstar arrives, and with her, millions of new eyes. These new fans are passionate, but their entry point is different. They might not know the league's intricate history or its long-standing narratives. Their passion is channeled through one player, one storyline, and this can feel like an invasion to those who have been there since the beginning.
Those aren't fans, those are trolls, and it's a real disservice to the people in our league, the organization. I think continuing to uplift this league in a very positive light is the best thing that we can do, because yeah, it's definitely upsetting. I don't think nobody in our league should be facing any sort of racism, hurtful, disrespectful. There are so many great players. There's so many great teams. There are so many positive storylines that can be written and celebrated.
This clash of cultures was inevitable. The legacy fans sometimes view the newcomers as casuals, who lack a genuine appreciation for the league's history and its established stars. The new fans, in turn, can perceive the old guard as unwelcoming, resistant to change, and even resentful of the success and attention a rookie is bringing. This created a friction that is ripe for exploitation, and the unproven racism allegations were a spark thrown directly onto this gasoline-soaked divide. In this incredibly heated and fragile environment, the responses from Clark, Mitchell, and Wheeler were so much more than just crisis management or damage control. They were a conscious, strategic attempt to redefine the league's future narrative and build a bridge over this cultural chasm. They recognized that to succumb to the division was to lose. So, they actively chose a different path, to spotlight the incredible depth of talent, the positive sports stories, and the sheer joy of the game itself, arguing that this is what truly deserves the spotlight. They made a powerful collective statement that the WNBA's value is not in its controversies, but in its competition. Think about the profound subtlety of their approach. Caitlin Clark, the very figure at the center of this cultural quake, repeatedly used the word trolls to describe the sources of negativity. This was a deliberate and brilliant act of isolation. She was telling the legacy fans, "We are not blaming you. We know you are not the problem." She was simultaneously telling her new fans, "Do not generalize or attack the entire fan base." By creating this category of troll, she effectively defanged the narrative that this was a war between two sets of fans. Then, she immediately pivoted to her core message, upliftment. She constantly talked about the so many great players and so many great teams. This wasn't an empty platitude. It was an invitation. She was inviting her millions of new followers to look beyond her, to discover the greatness of Aya Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and Alyssa Thomas, the very players the legacy fans have been cheering for years. Kelsey Mitchell's contribution to this narrative warfare was equally masterful. Her mantra controlling only what's inside the organization was a refusal to be drafted into someone else's war. By focusing laser-sharp on basketball and professionalism, she was elevating the product on the court above the noise off it. She was reminding everyone, from the veteran in the locker room to the fan in the cheapest seat, that the primary reason they are all there is the world-class basketball. This focus on excellence is a universal language that both old and new fans can understand and appreciate. It's a common ground. Erica Wheeler's veteran endorsement of this unified front provided the credibility and warmth that solidified their message. It proved this wasn't a corporate directive, but a genuine belief shared across the team's roster. In doing so, they weren't just offending their fans. They were fighting for the narrative they believe the WNBA deserves, one centered on athletic excellence, professional grace, and the pure, unadulterated love of the game. They were challenging the tired, outdated idea that drama and conflict are the only stories worth telling about women's basketball. They pushed back against the notion that the league is only interesting when it's mired in controversy. Instead, they offer more compelling, more sustainable vision, a league so talented and so entertaining that its gameplay is a headline. This is the ultimate goal, to transition the WNBA from a niche sport often covered for its socio-political context into a mainstream sports powerhouse covered for its breathtaking athleticism and must-see stars. By handling this incident not with explosive anger, but with thoughtful, forward-looking leadership, Clark, Mitchell, and Wheeler didn't just quiet scandal. They may have very well charted a new course for the entire league, proving that the most powerful statement you can make is sometimes to rise above the fight and simply play the game at a level too magnificent to ignore. In the end, the story of the Indiana Fever racism allegations isn't really about what may or may not have been said in the stands. That chapter, defined by a lack of evidence and an unsubstantiated league finding, has effectively closed. The real, lasting story, the one that will be remembered long after the headlines have faded, is about how 3 players were handed a textbook definition of a no-win situation and somehow, against all odds, managed to create a definitive blueprint for victory. They were presented with a scenario designed to fracture teams and fuel endless, toxic debate, and they chose a different path entirely. They showed that true leadership in the modern age isn't about amplifying chaos or getting drawn into the fray. It's about championing clarity, purpose, and an unwavering focus on the mission at hand. Caitlin Clark, with her visionary focus on the league's positive potential and her ability to redirect a negative narrative toward a hopeful horizon. Kelsey Mitchell, with her unwavering commitment to controlling controllable, providing an anchor stability by focusing solely on effort and execution. And Erica Wheeler, with her veteran stability and unifying presence, together rewrote the playbook for handling adversity in the public eye. They proved, in a way that should be studied by athletes and public figures everywhere, that consistent, calm professionalism is the ultimate weapon against toxicity. Noise and outrage require oxygen to survive, and by refusing to provide it, the Fever's leaders effectively starved the controversy. They reminded everyone why we fell in love with sports in the first place, not for peripheral drama, but for the breathtaking plays that defy expectation, for the fierce competition that tests human limits, and for the athletes who inspire us not only with their superhuman talent, but with their profound humanity and character under fire. What they demonstrated was a masterclass in emotional discipline and strategic communication. In a world that constantly pressures public figures to pick a side in every conflict, they chose a side that transcended the immediate battle, the side of the game itself. This is a legacy of this entire incident. It's not a legacy of scandal, but one of solution. It's a case study in how to navigate the treacherous waters of modern media without losing your compass. Think about the messages they sent, not just with their words, but with their synchronized actions. To the young athletes watching, they demonstrated that your performance can be your most powerful statement. To the legacy fans, they showed respect and understanding, deliberately separating them from the negative labels. To the new fans, they extended an invitation to appreciate the full depth and beauty of the league. And to the critics and the trolls, they sent the most powerful message of all, indifference. They revealed that the most debilitating thing you can do to negativity is to render irrelevant by being too busy achieving greatness to pay it any mind. The impact of this extends far beyond basketball. This is a template for handling any high-pressure crisis in any field. The principles are universal. Control what you can control, elevate the positive, maintain your unity, and let your work ethic and results do the final, most convincing talking. The Indiana Fever, through the poised responses of these three women, didn't just win a public relations battle. They elevated the entire conversation around women's sports. They made a compelling argument that the WNBA and its athletes deserve to be covered with the same nuance and respect as any other major professional league, where the brilliance on the court is the story, not just the noise that sometimes surrounds it. So, what did you think of their response? Was this the right way to handle such a volatile and emotionally charged situation? Do you believe this approach of focusing on positivity and controllables is a sustainable model for other athletes facing similar storms, or was this a unique circumstance? We genuinely want to hear your perspective. The conversation about the future of sports media and how athletes navigate these challenges is an important one. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What part of their response resonated most with you? If this deep dive into the truth behind a headline surprised you, if you found this breakdown of their strategic leadership insightful, then show your support by hitting that like button. It truly helps us continue to create content that goes beyond the surface and delves into the real stories that shape the sports world. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell. We are committed to bringing you more analysis that cuts through the noise and gets to the heart of the game. Thanks for watching.